Truma, makers of the Combi Heater and iNet system, are proud to sponsor Practical Motorhome TV.
Welcome to Practical Motorhome TV, your one-stop shop for buying, owning and getting the most from your motor caravan. I'm Niall Hampton, and on this week's show we'll be looking at some hot site and van reviews, plus receiving some amazing technical tips from our in-house expert Diamond Dave. But first up, we're going to be taking a look at the hugely impressive Chausson Flash 530. So are you looking for a coach-built motorhome around the 6-metre body length, one that can sneak under the 6-metre limit on a ferry? Well, this new 530 model from French brand Chausson should definitely figure in your plans. So let's see what our new compact chum has up its sleeve. Now, these very smart alloy wheels are a very pleasing feature to have on a van at this price, and it gets better as well. You go to the back and there's a colour reversing camera. Fantastic when you're backing on to a pitch. Now, we'll talk about some of the innovation inside the van in due course, but firstly, outside here at the back, there's some of it in evidence. Look at this rather large storage hatch, great for putting all your touring kit in the back of the van. But you don't just have to throw things in. No, Chausson has actually given you some handy shelves. They pull down like this and like this. Voila, as they say in France, but it gets better than that. You can pop this up, and on a freezing cold day like today, I'm delighted to have found the warm air vent. Now, of course, we're committed to 4-season touring, and I'll certainly take that one for the team. But a couple of other things on the outside of the van. As you can see, 5.99 metres long, so really great length for sticking on your front drive. And one other interesting feature of note here on the UK near side concerns this hatch. Manufacturers have been doing this for a couple of years now, and it's very sensible indeed. No more fumbling in behind a wardrobe or in the back of one to find the electrical switches and fuses. No, they're actually here. Very easy to access. Next to that, you'll find the filler connector for the fresh water tank, and next to that, the hookup. So all these services in one very easy place. Now, the 530 has a very sociable lounge configuration. There's an L-shaped seating group on that side, and here you have this very comfortable sofa. And the diesel heating in this van is certainly keeping it warm and toasty, and that's very important indeed. Now, access to the cab and from the cab is very good, and this table pulls towards you, just like this. But when you don't need it, obviously, you just do this, so you can get around the van nice and easily. Now, this lounge table also has another function. It provides one of the main supports for the lounge bed, and it's electrically operated by turning a key. So you don't have to be a strongman or anything pushing down on it. It's all done for you. How good is that? Now, the lounge bed would normally be reserved for guests. The master suite, of course, is accessed via a button. All you do, turn the key, keep your finger on it, and down it comes. All you need to do now is add an aluminium ladder into these little locators, and you can get into bed nice and easily. And just behind the sleeping arrangements, you will find a very compact kitchen. In fact, it's more like a camper van's galley than something you would find in a larger motorhome, but it still has 3 gas burners in a line, a circular sink and a grill down below. Some storage up above, and on the other side, a skinny fridge. De rigueur for all the people that are into fine wines, because there's a dedicated bottle holder at the bottom. Now, a washroom as large as this in a van as small as this is a pleasant surprise, and the shower compartment is very useful for a cameraman to hide in while capturing footage. But elsewhere, there's loads of space in here. A swivel loo, a square sink, a little cupboard there, and a large wardrobe. And inside that wardrobe is this very handy sliding clothes rail. It comes out and provides 2 places for hooks, and certainly makes the most of the limited space available. Now, this 530 model from Chausson in flash trim will set you back £45,795 on the road. That's quite impressive whichever way you look at it. It's a 4-berth with 4 travel seats and very compact, 5.99 metres long. But it does have a couple of other interesting quirks. It's 3,500 kilograms, so anyone can drive it on a standard car licence. But the user payload is a whopping 712 kilograms, which is pretty good in anyone's book. So who's going to buy this kind of van? Well, somebody that wants to keep things simple on the road, keep it compact. Certainly a vehicle like this you can park in your garage at home. Chausson is well known for innovations. There aren't any dazzling innovations in this van particularly, but there's lots of clever thinking, and you can't really say any fairer than that.
Punctures are a fairly rare occurrence, thankfully, but they do happen. How would you deal with a puncture? Well, first thing, you need to know where your breakdown kit is. So jack handle, wheel brace. It's worth keeping these somewhere convenient. If you have a puncture and you need to get at them, it's no good them being buried in the back of the garage. They need to be somewhere where you can get at them. You also need to know where the jacking points are on the vehicle. On this one, here's the jacking point at the front. On the rear, it's just in front of the rear axle. You need to know where these are. That's your jack. The peg of the jack locates into a hole in the bottom of the jacking point so that it will be firm and stable. You need to know where your spare wheel is, how to get it out of its cradle. Sometimes it's mounted on the back of the vehicle, inside a housing. Sometimes it's mounted underneath in a cradle. You just need to be able to get at it. So how do you actually deal with a puncture? Well, first and foremost, if you have a puncture while you're out on the road, don't try and change it yourself. Call your breakdown service. Get your vehicle parked as safely as you can. Call your breakdown service. They will send a man out in a van to do it for you. Your punctures are almost always going to happen in the dark when it's raining, you've got your best clothes on. The last thing you want to be doing is rolling with a heavy wheel. So call your breakdown service, let them come and do it. The driver will park his vehicle behind yours in a safe position where it will deflect traffic away from your vehicle. If you try doing it yourself, you're putting yourself in a dangerous position. So that's the safety bit over with. If you're on site and you've got a puncture, you can change it yourself. Obviously, you want to wear protective clothing. Insert your jack into the jacking point. As you wind it up, that peg on the top will locate in the hole under the jacking point, making sure it's on firm and stable ground. If the ground is a little bit soft, you can put a lump of wood under it, a chock, put that on flat, put the jack on there. That will spread the load and make it stable for you. Before you jack the vehicle up, you need to loosen the wheel bolts. Do that with your wheel wrench. They will be tight. Just need to crack them loose, because once the vehicle's jacked up, this wheel will rotate freely and you won't be able to undo them. So always slacken them first. So now we need to raise the vehicle up, which we do by winding the jack up with the ratchet handle. Nearly there now. It does take quite a while to lift the vehicle up like this, but you need to get the wheel off the ground for obvious reasons. There we go, we're spinning. So now you can remove your wheel bolts one by one. When you come to loosen the last bolt out, hold the wheel with your other hand, because its natural tendency will be to rock away from the vehicle, and that'll make it difficult to get that last bolt out. Now we've got the bolts out, we can take the wheel away, get your spare, bring it back. So you need to line the bolt holes up to the holes in the wheel flange, and then get a bolt in. Always start all of the bolts by hand. Sometimes people use a power gun to put wheel bolts in, which is all very well, but if you put the bolt in with the power gun to start, you can very easily cross-thread it. So always start them by hand. Start all of them before you tighten them up, and then the wheel will be centred properly on the hub. Now we've got them all started, we can tighten them up. Just nip them. The wheel is now firmly secured, but the bolts aren't tight. You can now lower the vehicle back onto the wheel. At this point, I would just nip the wheel bolts with your wrench, tighten them in a diagonal pattern. So with a 5-stud wheel, you do like the Star of David. Just nipping them now will just make sure the wheel is seated properly before you put the full weight of the vehicle back onto it. Now we can finish winding it down. Right, so now it's back off the jack. Pop that out of the way. You can now just tighten the wheel bolts properly. You can find out the correct wheel bolt torque from your vehicle manufacturer. So just to recap, know where your toolkit is, know how to use it. Be sure that your jack can actually lift your vehicle. Very large motorhomes that have got an extended chassis may be heavier than the scissor jack can cope with. If that's the case, get yourself a little trolley jack that's capable of lifting the vehicle. Know where your spare wheel is. Be sure it's inflated. A flat spare is about as much use as a chocolate fire guard. And work safely. That is the most important thing. You're no good to anybody if you've got a motorhome on your back. If the ground's uneven, use a block of wood to level it and make it firm. If you have a puncture while you're out on the road, don't bother trying to change it yourself. Call your breakdown service, let them do it. They know what they're doing, they're trained for it, and you're paid for it. Use the service. Hope you found this helpful. I'll see you next time.
Do not attempt any work on vehicles unless you're competent to do so. Always have safety critical work checked by a suitable qualified professional.
Truma, makers of the combi heater and iNet system, are proud to sponsor Practical Motorhome TV.